Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and this is my review for the 2022 CJ Cup. In this video, I'm going to be doing a tournament recap, looking at the top 10 leaderboard, comparing the optimal lineup versus the $3 GPP, the birdie. We'll look at that winning lineup versus the optimal, and then we're going to dive right into the sweet spot process to see how well it did this week. If you want to see the timestamps, I have them in the description below, or you can hover over the YouTube's progress bar and you'll see them there. But I want to start this video by looking at our giveaways. First of all, unfortunately, if you look, we're at 247 out of 255 or 250 subscribers. My goal of 250 was not met. So unfortunately, we won't be doing that giveaway. Let me just throw it on the screen. But we have a bunch of entries. So again, until we hit the 250 subscriber goal, we won't run this tournament. But once we do, each one of your guys' entries are locked in. So obviously, once we hit it, I'll run contests and it'll grab a random guy. Unfortunately, again, no subscriber giveaway being ran this week, but we did have one person sign up with Prize Picks. So once we run it, Gabriel Brown, you are a winner of $20. All you got to do is contact me through email or any avenue that you can find me on. Let me know where you'd like me to send the money. I can go through different types. Just let me know which one works best for you. So we have a Prize Picks. We also have a past winner who has not yet claimed their Prize Picks money. So Matthew Martin, reach out to me, SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com, to get your $20. That is all we have with the giveaways. I mean, honestly, we need 3 more subscribers to hit our goal. I think maybe next week I will double the amount of money in order to get there. But unfortunately, we didn't this week. We'll move on to next week. We'll move all these entries to next week. Hopefully you guys can see your names on here. Let me know if I missed you. I'm pretty sure I haven't, but obviously if you are questioning, or if you do have a specific spot that you said you have commented and I don't have it here, I'll go look it up. But anyways, let's go on to the tournament. Rory McIlroy is your winner. It is his 20th victory on tour and his first in like 2 years, I think. The Arnold Palmer, the year before Bryson won it, which was this last year, I think that was his last victory. Could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's his last PGA Tour victory. So he had a really good tournament. Shot really low on Saturday, finished pretty strong with a 66. He parred the last hole, which is a par 5. Colin Morikawa eagled it to get to a 62. And if you recall, Colin Morikawa is a member at this golf course. So it's no surprise. First of all, he's an elite golfer, but being a member at this golf course, you would expect him to play well, and he did. So he closed out with an eagle. We didn't really expect Rory to, shoot worse than par. I mean, I think it was 15 under for all the par 5s throughout the 4 days. So, but I mean, like, Rory did have a tap in for par, but it's kind of he played it conservative. Let's just put it that way. I think if he needed to birdie, he could have birdied it pretty easily. And I think if he needed to eagle it, he could have eagled it pretty easily. It was in his hands the last 4 or 5 holes. Again, it's great to see Morikawa eagle the last hole, but I think Rory was already at 25 under way before Colin Morikawa even got close. So if you wanted to see the scores, I have them here. McIlroy won at 25 under, then Morikawa 24, 22, and then like your top 10 was 20 under or better. And that was one of the things we forecasted correctly. We knew this was going to be a birdie fest. We heard it from the PGA Tour pros themselves. We wanted to find birdie makers. So we'll get into that with the optimal lineup versus the $3 GPP. But just looking at your top 10 here, let me put a filter on this, by the way. Forgot to do that. So if we just look at our top 10 golfers, it's a very it's a varying group of golfers. We have a bunch of 6K golfers, including Ricky Fowler, who finished tied for third. That was great. That was a great sighting. He played really well, but then he choked on Sunday. Shot a 71, 66, 66, 63, then a 71. So unfortunate. Like, it would have been great to see Ricky win this tournament. You know, get back in the winner's circle. It's also really good to see going forward. The fact is, this was a birdie maker golf course, and he was making birdies. Things were clicking. So look forward to Ricky in future tournaments. Aaron Wise was a golfer we kind of talked about during the strategy video and the preview video. It's interesting to see Sam Burns. Well, don't let me skip Adam Scott. Adam Scott was in the optimal lineup, and this was kind of a surprise to me. I did not think Adam Scott was going to play this well, but he did. All 4 rounds in the 60s, so he got you that bonus. Again, he was in the optimal lineup. 20th ranked golfer in the model, so it was all good. We'll talk about that, the SweetSpot Score, shortly. But yeah, Cameron Smith, another top 10. That was a golfer we discussed throughout the preview and the strategy. He has nothing but top 10 finishes at this tournament. So when we think about, course history or tournament history, he's a golfer that can come to mind for this tournament. Again, I personally don't know what the CJ Cup, what it means for some of these golfers. I absolutely don't know what it means for Cameron Smith. But the fact that he's been golfing this tournament really well is there are signs for the future when it comes to rostering Cameron Smith. So keep that in mind. Another interesting spotting here is Gary Woodland. Like, Robert Streb, I actually had him on a lot of my lineups last week. For whatever reason, he's been showing up a bunch. He was one of the worst ranked golfers in the field for me this week. But it's no surprise to me, like, Streb secretly, I shouldn't say secretly, but kind of quietly has been playing really good golf ever since he won the RSM Classic last year. Like, don't sleep on Streb, especially when he's really close to minimum price. Like, he's a solid golfer. I think he's just streaky. That's it. Same goes for Keith Mitchell up here, who finished third. Very streaky, can make birdies in bunches. Obviously, you can see he did that. He went low twice, and then didn't really have a good weekend. But a lot of these golfers, I wish I had kind of fantasy scoring points for you guys. Like averages, top 10 percentages, that kind of stuff for when it comes to DraftKings points. Because I think we probably could hit on some of these guys, like Keith Mitchell, for sure. He can go low. He can score really well. Like Taylor Gooch, another really high talented player. Like Gooch, Burns, Smith, Mitchell, Wise. I'm not going to include Harry Higgs, but we certainly can. These golfers, these young golfers, they have a lot of potential. Keith Mitchell's 29, Aaron Wise is 25, Burns 25, Gooch is 29, Cameron Smith's 28, and Harry Higgs is 29. Sung J M, 23 years old. Always forget that he's 23. And then obviously you have Morikawa 24. So these young guys can score really, really well. But guess it's one of those things like we could have considered. I don't know. Never mind. I was gonna say we could have considered age at this tournament, but no. That's your top 10 though. I really the biggest surprises to me would be Fowler, Scott, and Woodland. No one else up there really surprises me because when we think of the guys that I just listed, let's see, how old is Ricky? Ricky's 32. Woodland is 37. Like, these guys aren't super old, Don't get me wrong, they're not super old. But it's just like, it almost feels like their prime left them. Especially like a Ricky we haven't seen in a while play well, like good golf. Same with Gary Woodland with his injuries from last year. So those guys kind of surprises to me. Adam Scott, obviously a world-class golfer, really difficult to determine, like, when he's going to hit and when he's not. But that's kind of my analysis of the golf tournament. I didn't get to see much of the tournament during the weekend. I had company over and really didn't watch any golf. Was paying attention on the leaderboard, but that was it. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into that GPP versus the $3. It's the $3 GPP versus the optimal. So that birdie lineup, the winner in the birdie, I should say, are the golfers highlighted in blue. Yeah, Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, Aaron Wise, Taylor Gooch, Johnny Vegas, and Russell Henley. Now, the really interesting about this lineup is it used $48,900, leaving $1,100 on the table. It scored 819 points. That's not right. 18. Okay, this should be 18. I'm gonna have to find the. Actually, I can just do the calculation really quick. This was 774. So it scored 774 points, left $1,100 on the table. Your optimal lineup are all the 6 golfers up top. You had Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, Keith Mitchell, Ricky Fowler, Aaron Wise, and Adam Scott. That scored 819.5 points. Now, my realistic optimal lineup is 49,000 and above. So this fits that mold. We want to build lineups 49,000 and above. But if we didn't want to leave that much money on the table, what was the next closest that's above 49,000 that would be considered an optimal lineup? And I have it highlighted, the salaries highlighted in green. So that is your realistic optimal lineup. It scored 811. So we still would have beat the GPP winning lineup. We'd have been 8.5 points behind the actual optimal. And it would be the same 5 guys I started with: McIlroy, Morikawa, Mitchell, Fowler, Wise. But then we go down to Abraham Answer. So we switch out Adam Scott for Abe Answer, and that uses up all $50,000. So again, leaving money on the table, you really don't have to. It scored 811 points. So those were our golfers' optimal lineup versus the GPP winning lineup. Now, when it comes to how do you get on these golfers, like how do we play these golfers, that goes to the bucket system. But actually, before we get in that, I actually want to look at just the buckets in general, the anchor buckets. So if you were with me during the strategy video, we went over the anchor buckets. And instead of going through it with you guys on in this video, I encourage you guys, if you want to validate my data, pause the video, take a screenshot, because when we flip back and forth between the 2022 leaderboard and the bucket system, I want you to be able to pause it so you can validate my work. But everything that's this lime green color means it hit. So if you recall, in this column, that's our minimum projections. Like these 2 columns here, G and H, are our projections. I know it says max ownership and I know this says projection, but think of it this way. Max ownership is the amount of positions that I'm going to allocate for 100 lineups. So, and I get to determine how I'm going to spread it out. But with that, what we can do is move this decimal place from 201 over 2 spots to the left, and that'd be 2.01. This would be our minimum projection. This would be our maximum projection. So how this first row would look in the projections, 2, and we always round. So we always round down, and then we round down for this column. We round up for this column. So we're looking somewhere between 2 to 4 for this last year 2 bucket. So if I go to 2022, the DK page, the leaderboard, we're looking for last year 2s to finish inside the top 10, and we're looking somewhere between 2 to 4. As we look, we've got 3. So double checking. Yeah. So we have 3 of those that fits in the projections, it gets this lime green color. So that means thumbs up. And I went throughout all of the buckets. So it wasn't just the anchor buckets, but I went through all the buckets. The ones you see with red mean that it was lower than that projection if it's in the minimum. If it's in the maximum, it means it was over. But if we look at just our top 10 projections and we scroll down, I got all of them right. Our projections were absolutely correct. So it's the first time I've seen the bucket system 100% correct. But if you remember last week, we had 28 out of 29 buckets correct, which is a super high. And I really never go down and look at salary or strokes gain stats, but I did this time and it all checked out. Now the optimal lineups are a little bit different. Like the numbers here have to be kind of exact. So anything that's green with 0, how I highlighted it was, let's say like, what's a good one? 0 out of 4. I believe 3 were in the optimal lineup. I could be wrong on that, but I think it was around like 3. Instead of marking this one with a color, basically what I'm doing is if it hits this number, I'll mark it green. Otherwise, if it's above this number, I'll mark this one green. So it's any of the numbers within the range of 0 to 4, but not equal to 4, I would mark this green. So that's what I did with all of these. So if you're kind of wondering like, well, this bucket had 1 in the optimal lineup. Why didn't he mark that green on this level? It's just because it didn't reach 3. And if you see red on either side, that means it either went under the minimum or it went over the maximum. So we wouldn't have projected those correctly. So you can see really the only errors that I had came with the optimal lineups, but that also is because of data not really being normalized, because we only have like 3 years of data when it comes to salaries or a lot of these other stats. So just throwing that out there. But for the bucket system in general, it was perfect. So again, I encourage you guys, take a screenshot. I'm not going to go through all of the buckets and then compare it to this, because that's essentially what I do. I screenshot this and then basically check off all of the projections. So the bucket system was absolutely perfect. With that, if you recall, we went over the SweetSpot score. My number 1 golfer was Dustin Johnson. That obviously didn't do well. 45th place out of 78 golfers. Not very good. Rory McIlroy was my 2nd ranked golfer. Finished 1st. He won the tournament. Morikawa was my 14th ranked golfer. And then my 20th golfer was Adam Scott. So I had 3 in my top 20 within the optimal lineup. Now with a limited field like this, that's not really good. Like to me, that's not what I'm trying to strive for. I would rather see 4 guys, 4 of my top 10 golfers, I think would be the best number I'm looking for to finish inside the top 10 and to be in the optimal lineup. That's what I want. But unfortunately, we have 3 in my top 20. Which is okay, just not super great. And if you recall what we did with the SweetSpot score, that obviously drives a lot of the process. And one of those things that we go through and then we look at is tee times, like marquee tee time pairings. And so if the 3 golfers in the field, or in that group, I should say, so we look at this first one, if their rank was under, I don't know what to call it, maybe I'll call it the golf guru line. I don't know what to call it, but again, Nick Lazar and myself, Mr. Guru Nick, we came up with a 2/3 rule. So this field was 78 golfers. If you multiply that by 66%, or multiply it by 2 divided by 3, get you the same thing. It ends up being 52. So if the collective rank for a group of golfers is under 52, they're going to get a dark green color. So you can see that right here. This equals 33 with Matsuyama, Im, and Morikawa in it. This creates my marquee tee time pairings. So what I'll do here is go by our fill color, and then I will highlight by 3. And here's the thing. I've told you several times throughout the strategy videos that you want to find, I mean, most of the time, these Marquee T10 pairings, we always find 2 golfers that find the optimal lineup. So it's always best to select 2 golfers from here and then build your lineups accordingly. And the other piece of information, or the other piece of advice I give, is never pair up this, 2 golfers from the same group. And it should never say, I should never say never. But like we talked about this in the strategy video this last week, we've talked about it a couple times. Very rarely do we see a golfer from the same, or 2 golfers from the same group be in the optimal lineup. We have once out of the last 52 weeks, we've seen it. That's not a good number. That's not a good percentage. Just follow the advice. Never double up in a group. And I mean, it was close. Like Sungjae could have really gotten there to go with Morikawa, but you can see Morikawa was in the optimal lineup, and then Rory McIlroy was in the optimal lineup. And these 2 golfers, different groups. Like I said, if you started your pairings that way, and then just went from there, like I shouldn't say transcend, but try to figure out the different ways to build lineups, with also keeping the bucket system in mind. You could have got there. And I built me a couple McIlroy Morikawa lineups. Just like I use my optimizer with the bucket system on it, and you just mark those 2 guys. Like I want to play those 2 golfers, and then see what the bucket system will create afterwards. Now I only did it twice, so I didn't really get any other Morikawa McIlroy lineups from my optimizer, but going into it, like, they're obviously really good golfers. I liked McIlroy a lot. I think my big one was like McIlroy and Im, or McIlroy and Hovland. Those were my 2 combos that I played a lot. Yeah, Marquee T10 pairings, it's a success. We only had 4 groups to talk about. We found 2 of our optimal lineup golfers in those 4 groups. Now I also kind of did like a secondary pairing here with 2 groups. None of those really did well. I mean, like Cameron Smith was a favorite of mine. Harris English withdrew in the 4th round. Tony Finau was another favorite of mine as well, but he could not putt whatsoever. So yeah, Marquee T10 pairing was great. You mix that in with the bucket system, everything turned out really, really good. So yeah, that's kind of that's all that I have. 23 minutes, that's pretty good. We'll keep this under 25, but I just want to remind you guys, for the giveaways. Here, let me take this down and put up one of the giveaways. Again, the subscriber one is pretty simple. I still see on the analytics 50% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. We just need 3 of you guys to hit a giveaway. And if you want to enter in one of these giveaways, all you gotta do is comment on my preview, strategy, and prize picks videos week in and week out, and you're gonna get free entries to win some money. Now, I think next week, just to give you guys a little bit more incentive, and for you guys that have participated with the last 3 weeks, I think I should incentivize, I should reward any of you guys. I mean, you guys are going to have a better chance to win. So why not provide a little bit more incentive for people? So I think I'll up this to 20. I'll reflect it on the preview video that I do for the Zozo. But honestly, let's get some subscribers with your guys' help too. Sharing it on the socials, that's a big help. Commenting in the comment section is another huge help. Let's get there. But other than that, yeah, same thing goes with prize picks. Let me throw that up there. $20, man. All you gotta do is sign up, use this, the promo code SweetSpot, make a minimum deposit of $20. You're automatically entered, and that entry won't go away until you win. And right now, there aren't many signups, so you're more likely to win now if you were to sign up with it using the promo code. So Again, those are the two contests. That's all I have for you guys. So hopefully you did well this week. I'd like to know. Leave it in the comment section if you profited or if you won big. I'd like to hear from you guys. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you in the preview for the Zozo. All right, bye.